Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 11 of AMT's Star Trek USS Enterprise. Scale is 1 to 650. Now I'm building this as a what if, so if you watch the previous videos you'll know I'm painting this in a tartan colour. And in this part, in part 11, I'm carrying on with that process. So where I left off, I'm putting down the tartan design. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. So as you can see, the base coats are on, and the first bar or grid is painted as well. So next is to put on the next set of colours. So it's time to mask off again, and this is why I vanished it before, because obviously I don't want the paint to lift up while after I put the masking tape on, and it lifts up the paint sometimes. So it's wise to varnish before you do your next process. Now each masking process takes an extraordinary amount of time. You may think it would be quite easy because it's just putting down some strips of masking tape, but you have to be quite precise if you're doing a pattern like this. And as you can see there, I've got a larger piece of masking tape. This is I think it's a 10mm piece from Tamiya, and I'm using that as my dividing line and measuring tool instead of marking on it with a pencil or something. I'm just using that as a guide. So I'll put this on, then put my next piece of masking tape on, and then take the larger part off to build up that pattern. So I end up with this. I've got the masking tape down equal distance for my next color. So as you can see there, the whole upper section of the soft section is done. So it's time to paint in the new color. Now I'm using the blue paint, same as the base color, but I've added a little bit of black to it to make that color slightly darker. And I'm just gently brushing this on. It's almost like a wash, and just thin as possible placing it on, because I just need the color to change slightly. And needless to say, be careful where you're placing the paint. Make sure you're following your pattern. You can quite easily go wrong here and get mixed up with the amount of bars on your painting motif. So just make sure you know exactly where you're putting your paint. I've actually, while I was doing this, I had a picture in front of me, so I knew what I was doing and following that pattern. So the next color is the green, and I'm changing the color tone from the original, same as I did with the blue. This time I'm just putting in a Humbrol acrylic paint here to change the tone. These paints are from the starter kit, so it doesn't really matter what color it is, as long as it's a sort of greenish color or black. It's just enough to change the color tone. If you don't like the tone, I can lighten it up with putting a little bit of white in, which I'm doing here, and I'll just mix it in until I get my desired colour. And then it's the same again. Now these are bars that are just painting in now. They're leading off the main bars. As I said, there's a different colour change. It's a slight tone change from the main bar. Hence why I'm having to be careful not to put too much paint on. I don't want it to stand out and smack you in the face as such with the colour change. It has to be gradual and subtle. Now it's time to remove the masking tape. I've left this to dry for about 3 hours before removing it. As I said, this process takes a long time, but the camera just about is able to pick out the colour change on it, but it does stand out to the naked eye more. And once the tape's all removed, I will put another light coating of varnish on it to prepare for the next step. But I'll just sort of tilt this up to the camera so you can see the different colours. But as I said, make sure it's completely dry before you remove the tape and put on your next coat of varnish. Again, that is quite important for the process of remasking your next set of colours. And then it's back to masking again. Now I've slightly speeded this up because it's a basic process of rinse and repeat. It's just different colours that I'll be laying down. But the most challenging aspect of it is placing the masking tape in the correct position, of course. So my next colour is Rebel Aquacolor 302 Silk Black, and this is for the pin black stripe throughout the pattern. And of course it's the same process on the nacelles and the hull as well. It's just different markings, but it's all the same. Well, that is apart from the size. Obviously, the nacelles in the secondary hull are a lot smaller than the saucer section, so the check pattern of the tartan is smaller as well. So what I did there was I halved the size of the gaps in between each check pattern to make it look smaller. But the process is just the same of laying down the tape, painting it, taking off the tape, varnishing it, and so on. So back to the saucer section, and I'm still placing in some of the tape for the black lines. I'm doing the other way now, and you can see it in a little bit more detail here. I've placed the border part of the masking tape on, and the middle part is used as a spacer, so that is removed, and that will be the area that I'll be painting. And obviously I'll be carrying that all the way over to the other end of the saucer section. And the black lines is a double black line on this, so it's a lot more process involved for the black. And then once that's all dry, I can then remove the masking tape, and hopefully I don't have much paint left. I did actually have some, so some will have to be repainted, but I always knew that was going to happen anyway. But you can see the double black line coming through. So I'll just speeding up the video once more, but just to show you that I'm placing on the masking tape for the black lines on the secondary hull, as well as the nacelles, which will be up in a second. But it is the same process. It just takes longer on the curved areas as well, because the masking tape has a tendency to kink out a little bit and push itself out when you're wrapping it around a curved area. So it takes a lot of care, and it is a long, laborious process to do. I mean, it may not seem like it, but this process can take hours just to mask it off, never mind the painting and waiting for it to dry. So if you're doing something like this, bear that in mind. You will need a lot of time to actually achieve the results you're after. So as you can see, I'm painting the black into the secondary hull. And I should mention it as well, I didn't use the iridescent powder on the black paint, hence why I'm just using the Revel paint here. I decided against it because I wanted a contrasted colour, so it didn't stand out too much, because the black on the tartan is more of a flat colour anyway. And I thought that would give it a good contrast on the actual overall pattern. As you can see here, I've got the camera at a slightly different angle from normal. That was because just trying to get the arm of the nacelle in a proper shot to show you. If you don't like it, I do apologise. It was just I thought I had a difficulty showing the process in the normal camera angle. So these black lines are causing me quite a bit of difficulty, actually. Some of them did bleed quite a lot. If you can see me taking the masking tape off, especially on the curved things, they bled quite a lot, and I had to redo them a couple of times, which was unfortunate, but these things do happen. But eventually I did get there, but it took twice as long as it should have done. But as I said earlier on, some of the paint is going to have to be touched up anyway, because there was a little bit of paint left on a couple of the areas on the reds and yellows. As I said, it does happen, but you know, it's just one of these things, and this is me just touching up on the yellow. In fact, there's just tiny little bits, so I'm just tidying all that up before I put the final coat of varnish on. And this is where I'll end part 11. There's no need to go into all the painting as such, because as I said, it's just rinse and repeat. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds, and while you're there, subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be kept up to date not only with this build, but all my future builds as well, of course. hit the like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.